POV, you're one of the last air traffic controllers on Earth. The radar screen just went black. Not glitched. Not frozen. Gone. Every aircraft on your display disappears at the exact same second. Hundreds of little green dots. Thousands of lives. Vanished. For a moment, nobody in the control room says anything. The silence lasts maybe 2 seconds. Then every alarm starts screaming at once. But the terrifying part? The disaster started 15 minutes ago. You just didn't know it yet. Let's go back. It's 8:12 a.m. You're halfway through a routine shift at one of the busiest air traffic control centers in America. Nothing unusual. Weather is clear. Traffic is normal. Pilots are complaining about turbulence. Coffee is terrible. Everything feels ordinary. Then a pilot reports losing GPS. Not unusual. It happens. 5 minutes later another pilot reports the same thing. Then another. Then 20 more. The supervisor starts making calls. Engineers start checking systems. Military frequencies suddenly become active. Nobody tells you why. You notice anyway. Experienced controllers notice everything. At 8:27 a.m., the internet inside the facility stops working. At 8:29 a.m., satellite communications begin failing. At 8:31 a.m., every phone in the building receives the same emergency alert. National security emergency. Remain at your post. Await instructions. People exchange nervous looks. Nobody leaves. Then the television mounted on the wall cuts to a government broadcast. The president appears. His face looks exhausted. He says 3 words. We are under attack. The room becomes completely silent. You hear somebody drop a coffee cup. Nobody turns around. Nobody cares. The president explains that multiple satellites have been destroyed. Communications networks are collapsing. Military forces are engaged across several continents. Additional information unavailable. The broadcast ends. No questions. No details. Just silence. Then work continues. Because there are still airplanes in the sky. Thousands of them. And every one of them needs guidance. For another 10 minutes, things somehow hold together. Pilots keep talking. Controllers keep working. People pretend the world is still normal. Then the radar dies. Every screen goes dark. You stare at empty airspace. The busiest skies on Earth suddenly look abandoned. A controller beside you whispers a single word. No. Nobody has training for this. There are emergency procedures. There are contingency plans. But every contingency assumes something still works. Nothing works now. Pilots begin calling. Constantly. Desperately. Some have navigation. Some don't. Some are already low on fuel. Some are flying blind. The frequencies become chaos. Voices overlap. Warnings overlap. Fear overlaps. You try helping one aircraft. Then another. Then another. It's impossible. You feel like a lifeguard watching an ocean drown. Military aircraft begin appearing overhead. Not on radar. Through the windows. Fast. Low. Urgent. Nobody explains where they're going. You don't need an explanation. The parking lot outside fills with emergency vehicles. Security teams lock every entrance. Nobody is allowed to leave. Nobody is allowed inside. At noon, power fails. Backup generators activate. Half the room cheers. The other half knows that generators eventually run out of fuel. A supervisor gathers everyone together. He speaks calmly. Too calmly. The way doctors speak when the diagnosis is bad. He explains that communications infrastructure across North America has suffered catastrophic damage. Recovery estimates are unknown. Nobody asks questions. Because nobody wants answers. By evening, hundreds of aircraft have landed wherever they could. Military bases. Regional airports. Highways. Open fields. Many never reported their final position. You stop thinking about numbers. Numbers make it worse. At 7 p.m., your wife finally reaches you through a military emergency line. The connection lasts 20 seconds. You hear your daughter crying in the background. Your wife says they're safe. For now. Then the call cuts off. You never get another one. Night falls. The city outside goes dark. Not dim. Dark. Entire sections of the horizon vanish. No traffic. No billboards. No office towers. No airport lights. Nothing. You stand beside the window looking at a city of millions. It feels abandoned. At midnight, a military officer enters the facility. He doesn't introduce himself. He simply hands your supervisor a folder. The supervisor reads it. His face changes. You recognize that look. Everyone does. Bad news has a universal expression. The officer leaves. Nobody tells the room what's inside. An hour later, you find out anyway. A rumor spreads. Then another. Then confirmation. Major electrical grids are gone. Communications are collapsing globally. International transportation has effectively stopped. Nobody knows how long it will last. Days. Months. Years. Nobody knows. At 3 a.m., you finally sit down. Not because you're tired. Because your legs stop listening. You haven't eaten all day. You aren't hungry. A controller across the room quietly starts crying. Nobody says anything. Everyone understands. At sunrise, the generators are still running. Barely. The coffee machine is dead. The phones are dead. The internet is dead. The world outside is almost unrecognizable. And somehow your shift isn't over. You survived the first day. The aircraft are mostly gone now. The emergencies are mostly over. But as sunlight creeps through the windows, you realize something terrifying. Yesterday your job was controlling airplanes. Today your job is helping hold together what's left of civilization. And tomorrow will probably be worse.